On December 1st, 1948, a man was found dead on a beach in Adelaide, Australia. He carried no wallet, no identification, and every single label on his clothing had been carefully removed. More than 70 years later, nobody has ever confirmed who he was. The body was discovered early in the morning by a local resident walking along Somerton Beach, a popular stretch of coastline just outside the city. The man was found leaning against a seawall, dressed in a suit, his legs crossed, as though he had simply sat down to rest and never gotten back up. At first, witnesses assumed he was sleeping, or perhaps intoxicated. It wasn't until someone approached to check on him that they realized he was dead. He appeared to be in his 40s, fit and well-groomed, with no obvious signs of violence or struggle. There were no visible wounds, no marks suggesting a physical altercation. His shoes were polished to a shine that suggested careful personal upkeep right up until his final hours. An autopsy was conducted, but the findings only deepened the mystery rather than resolving it. The examining doctor noted that the man's spleen was significantly enlarged and there were signs consistent with poisoning, though no specific poison could ever be conclusively identified in his system using the forensic technology available in 1948. His heart appeared to have simply stopped, in a manner the examiner described as highly unusual and difficult to explain through any natural cause. Investigators searched his clothing thoroughly, hoping to find any clue to his identity. Every single label had been meticulously removed from every piece of clothing he wore. His jacket, his shirt, his trousers, even the label from inside his shoes had been carefully cut away. This wasn't the kind of detail that happens by accident. Someone had gone to significant, deliberate effort to ensure this man could not be identified through his clothing. In his pockets, police found a used bus ticket, a comb, a pack of chewing gum, and a box of matches. Nothing that provided any indication of who he was or where he had come from. Weeks later, investigators made a discovery that would define this case for the next 7 decades. Hidden in a small, cleverly concealed pocket sewn into the lining of his trousers, a pocket so well hidden that it had been missed during the initial examination, police found a tiny scrap of rolled paper. On it were 2 printed words in an elegant font, Tamam Shud. Investigators eventually traced the phrase to a rare edition of a Persian poetry collection called the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam. The phrase, translating roughly to "it is ended" or "finished," appeared on the final page of that specific book and appeared to have been deliberately torn out. In a stroke of remarkable investigative work, police managed to locate the exact copy of the book the page had come from. A man had found the book, apparently discarded, in the back seat of his unlocked car parked near the beach on the very night the body was believed to have been left at the scene. Inside the back cover of that book, investigators found something that would occupy code breakers and amateur investigators for decades to come. Written in pencil, in a handwriting style consistent with someone hurriedly jotting down a private note, was a short sequence of capital letters arranged across 5 lines that appeared to form some kind of code. Despite extensive analysis by Australian military intelligence and later by independent cryptographers and codebreakers around the world, this code has never been definitively solved. Some researchers believe it represents the initial letters of a poem or a series of phrases known only to the man who wrote them. Others believe it may be a substitution cipher representing a genuine coded message. To this day, no explanation has been proven correct. Also written in the back of that same book, though partially erased, was a phone number. Investigators traced it to a woman living in a nearby suburb of Adelaide, a former nurse. When questioned by police, she reportedly appeared visibly shaken upon being shown a plaster cast of the dead man's face, though she denied any knowledge of his identity or how her phone number had come to be written in the book. She requested that her name never be released publicly, a request that Australian police honoured for decades, only confirming her identity long after her death. Adding another layer of intrigue to an already strange case, this same woman had, years after the man's death, once owned a copy of the exact same edition of the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam, the same specific printing from which the man's torn page had come. Whether this was an extraordinary coincidence or evidence of some connection between them that was never explained has never been resolved. Some researchers who have studied this case in later decades have theorized that the Somerton man may have been involved in espionage. Adelaide in 1948 was located near a highly sensitive weapons testing facility during a period of significant Cold War tension between Western nations and the Soviet Union. The presence of an unidentified man wearing clothing deliberately stripped of any identifying information, carrying a coded message, found dead under mysterious circumstances near this facility, struck many investigators as more than coincidental. Other researchers have proposed alternative theories entirely, that he may have died by suicide using an undetectable poison, perhaps due to a tragic and unrequited connection to the nurse whose phone number was found in his book. Still others believe he may have been the victim of a targeted poisoning entirely unrelated to espionage, killed by someone with personal or professional motives that were never uncovered. For decades, the man's body remained buried in an Adelaide cemetery under a simple headstone reading only "The Unknown Man." And in 2021, following years of advocacy from amateur researchers and genealogists who had dedicated significant portions of their lives to this case, Australian authorities finally exhumed his remains in an attempt to extract viable DNA for genetic genealogy analysis, a technique that had successfully identified other historical unidentified persons in recent years. In July 2022, researchers announced they had used this DNA evidence, combined with genetic genealogy databases, to tentatively identify the man as Carl Webb, an electrical engineer born in Australia, whose family had reportedly lost contact with him years before his death. This identification, while considered highly probable by the researchers involved, still awaits full official confirmation from Australian authorities, and several key questions remain completely unanswered even under this identification. Why his labels were removed, what the code in the book actually meant, why he was poisoned if he was poisoned at all, and what, if any, connection genuinely existed between him and the nurse whose number was hidden in his final possession. More than 70 years after his death, the Somerton man case remains one of the most thoroughly investigated and most stubbornly unsolved mysteries in modern criminal history. A man who seemingly wanted, more than anything else, to disappear completely, and very nearly succeeded even in death. If this story intrigued you, imagine spending decades of your life trying to crack a code that may never have had a real answer at all. If you want more real unsolved mysteries like this one, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. New stories are coming every week, and this case is far from the strangest one still to come.